Recording in progress.
Good evening, Springfield. Welcome to the November 7th, 2024 Township of Springfield Virtual Planning Meeting. Adequate notice has been given in accordance with the Sunshine Laws. Notice was published on October 24th, 2024 in the local source, which is the official newspaper of the Township of Springfield, and posted in the Annex Building on October 24th, 2024. Let's do a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Perfect. Well, thank you. Mr. Disco, can you please do a roll call for us?
Certainly. Committeeman Huber. Absent. Committeeman Kaiser.
He should be on.
Absent.
One second. Pooch, try to see. He's supposed to be here.
He's there. It's saying he declined the promotion, so we're going to try again.
Okay.
Who is that?
Alex. Just he's not here for now, but when we get him on, we'll say he's here.
No, I'm here.
He's here. Okay. Perfect. Alex is here. I see him. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Barnett. Okay, Miss Ruggiero. Mr. Laufer. Mr. Cedarquist. Ms. Tamayo.
Here.
Mr. Canigallo.
Here.
Mr. Wishna.
Here.
Vice Chair Kessel.
Here.
Chairman Tiger.
Here.
Okay, it looks like we have 6 members if
That's
I
perfect.
heard everybody correctly.
That's correct. And for the record, Committeeman Huber, Mr. Barnett, Ms. Ruggiero, and Mr. Loeffler reached out that they had a prior engagement because this meeting was at an off time. So everyone that I mentioned have a waiver for tonight's meeting from the attendance policy. So let's move forward. So we have a lot of meeting minutes to approve. This should be a relatively short meeting. That's why it's one of our virtual meetings for the year. We have meeting minutes for July of 2024. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes for July?
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstain.
So
I will.
Sharon,
Who's the
Julie,
second on that?
Julie
No,
abstained.
I wasn't
Alex.
here. I
Second.
abstained.
Second by Kaiser.
Thank you.
Our August meeting minutes. Can I have a motion to approve them?
So
Motion
moved.
to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? I think everyone was there. Scott, were you there that one?
I missed 2 meetings, but I watched the virtual sessions or recorded sessions.
That's right. So you're good. Okay, perfect. The September 12th meeting minutes. Can I have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone abstain or oppose? Great, motion passes. The final one is September 23rd. Can I have a motion to approve the September 23rd meeting minutes?
Motion to
So
approve.
moved.
Anyone? Can I have all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Anyone oppose? Great, motion passes. Okay, 2 items for discussion before we move on to the agenda. So again, our dates for 2025, Ms. Law sent the dates out to the board. We did list the reorg meeting as January 2nd. If the Township Committee does not do the reorg meeting on January 1st, we will just do our reorg meeting on January 13th. So other than that, all the dates, if there's any issues with any of the dates, please let Jen Law know. If not, those will be our meeting dates for 2025 with the exception of not knowing the reorg date. Any questions or concerns?
No.
Perfect. Every year we have to appoint new professionals. So I need to form a subcommittee I know Mr. Barnett reached out that he wanted to be a part of that. Anyone would like to be a part of the RFPs to review for 2025 paraprofessionals. That's board attorney, board planner, and board engineer, as well as board secretary.
When did you say the reorg meeting will be?
Either the 2nd or the 13th of January.
Oh, okay. I guess if it's the 13th, I can do it. I'm going to be away from the 28th until the 2nd. I'd like to be on this subcommittee, but obviously I'm concerned about committing to that.
Well, you could be on the subcommittee, and that's fine. You know, your recommendation on that subcommittee will just either Barnett or myself or someone else would
Okay.
translate that. But
Okay.
if the reorg meeting's on the 2nd, it's not till the 7th. If you're home at night or 6:30, you can be a part of it. If not, your recommendation will be heard with
Okay.
the voice of the speaker.
All right. Then I would
Perfect.
like to be on it if that's
So
okay.
David and Sharon, anyone else?
I
would
can
like
be
to
on it.
be on it. Is it all just virtual meetings? I think I've been on
Yeah.
this before. Yeah, you can put me on it.
Okay, perfect.
Sometimes I
So
don't have to show up in person.
that's 3. Okay, perfect. So we have our 3 subcommittees. Julie, I heard you want to do something. So we're going to have a subcommittee for which we'll figure that out for some of the master plans and some of the tougher applications that come up. We'll make sure you're a part of that so you can be on there as well.
Okay.
So that's the standpoint for that. So resolutions, we have the Temple Resolution, Congregation of Israel of Springfield, 9-2024 339 Mountain Avenue through 47 Mountain Avenue, 18 Pitt Road, block 1801, lots 33, 36, and 39. As the board's aware, our board granted preliminary and final site plan approval on with a minor subdivision, both variances for an addition to the temple. We did that at our meeting at the end of September 23rd. The resolution's on file. It took a lot of wording, but I think we finally have it. Does anyone have any questions or concerns with the resolution?
No.
Seeing none, we have to do this by roll call. But can I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Someone
Second.
Julie seconded. Can we have a roll call?
Yes, Vice Chair Kessel,
Yes.
Ms. Tamayo,
Yes.
Committeeman Kaiser,
Yes.
Mr. Cantagallo,
Yes.
Mr. Wishna,
Yes.
Chair Tiger.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. Before we go to the ordinances, I forgot to, for the board, we should congratulate Committeeman Alex Kaiser. He did win an election. It's great that we'll have him another 4 years, hopefully 4 years on the planning board with us. So congrats. It could be your
3 years.
3 years.
4 years. Oh, 3 years. 3 years. That's right.
3
3 years with us on the planning board again. Perfect. Okay, ordinance. So we received a stormwater control regulation ordinance from the township clerk for us to review. What we're going to do is Mr. Disco and Mr. Mistretta will talk a little bit about what the ordinance is, and then this board has to find that what the changes to the ordinance are consistent with the master plan, and if it is, we'll authorize our board attorney to draft the letter to the township committee so it can be incorporated at their next meeting. So seeing so, Mr. Disco, can you give the board a quick overview, and then Mr. Mistretto kind of add in some of the planning standpoints of it?
Yes, so this is a mandatory model ordinance from NJDEP. Each town has to pass it. Mr. Dowd, the municipal attorney, has taken the model ordinance, filled in the blanks. There are a couple of selections that a municipality may make in terms of some of the options. That's been done. He's prepared it. The council is, I guess, adopted it. We're looking to make it, judge it to be consistent, and then it'll go back to the township. There's nothing in this that is controversial. It incorporates the governor's executive actions from a year and a half ago that NJDEP then subsequently passed. So this is just to be consistent with the NJDEP regulations and with every other municipality in the state.
Perfect. Mr. Mistretta, can you add in any of the planning along with it?
Again, it just, I agree with everything that Mr. Disco just said, but from a planning standpoint, one of the biggest concerns is stormwater runoff, amount of impervious coverage in our township, and flooding, localized flooding. And this ordinance hits on those items exactly. It brings our township regulations up to speed with the statewide regulations, which really have all the same directive, which is to reduce flooding and try as much as possible to reduce the amount of impervious surfaces on our properties and as they come before this board, which this board has consistently been trying to do with each application.
Great. So it makes sense that we're following with what the state is doing, and we're being very careful to make sure it incorporates a lot of the stormwater runoff to make sure that's what a lot of the property owners have been concerned about, as well as the environmental commission.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Let me go through the board, see if they have any questions. Ms. Kessel?
No questions.
Mr. Canigallo? Nope. Mr. Committeeman Kaiser?
No, thank you.
Julie?
No, thank you.
Scott?
No questions, but one comment. I don't know if it was the final version of the ordinance, but whatever was posted on the Google Drive for the meeting has like red lines and crossouts in it. So whatever gets adopted, I just don't know if that was posted in error, but I would assume it would need to be a more clean document.
Well, we'll have Jen look at that, so that way when it goes back with Matt's letter to say, that it's consistent with, and it has all the red lines off.
Yeah,
But
and
great
maybe it
catch.
was just to show the changes, but yeah.
Okay, great catch, Scott. Thank you. Okay, so seeing none, can I have a motion to authorize our board attorney to send a letter to the township committee, township clerk, that we review the ordinance and today's date, and that we find it consistent with the master plan?
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
So Sharon and Mr. Canigallo, can we have a roll call?
Certainly. Vice Chair Kessel,
Yes.
Mr. Cantagallo,
Yes.
Committeeman Kaiser,
Alex, you're on mute. He
Yes.
said yes. He said yes.
Ms. Tamayo,
Yes.
Mr. Wishna,
Yes.
and Chair Tiger.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Perfect. The next thing we have is, the master plan. Mr. Mastretta, the last meeting, talked to us a little bit about the master plan, affordable housing, vacant land adjustments. He threw a lot of stuff at us, dates that things have to be done. We're going to take about 5 minutes to kind of update the public where we're at, kind of go over the timeline and kind of next steps. For the board's knowledge, that there is a master plan subcommittee that was formed last year. It is myself and David Barnett. It is 2 people from the zoning board, the board chair, Jody Cohen, Mr. Michael Weckstein, the superintendent's on the committee, the mayor, and Committeeman Kaiser's on there as well. So what we've met a few times over the summer, we kind of put some stuff together. Mr. Mastretta is going to kind of work through that, give us a timeline of when we need to meet again, as well as come back to the board with a final plan for us to review. So Mr. Mastretta, if you can give us like a 5-minute overview.
Sure. Very quickly. 2 weeks ago, new news since last time we met, the DCA, Department of Community Affairs, has released their 4th round numbers book throughout the state for every municipality. Springfield Township was assigned a number of 284, and our office is currently going through the methodology and looking at the 3 multipliers and how that is calculated. The one area that we will take a closer look at in the DCA's 4th round number is the developable land, which is the one multiplier that we could take a look at to see, just to confirm that it was calculated correctly. In the DCA report, it concludes that Springfield Township has 38.40 acres of developable land, which attributed to the calculation of a 4th round number of 284. We're going to get the information from the state. The state has not released the mapping yet, but once they do, we're going to verify that those numbers are accurate. And then the next step in this process would be that the township committee is responsible for adopting a binding resolution by January 31st, 2025. And what that means is the township committee has reviewed the report from the DCA, all of the methodology, all of the numbers, which we are analyzing for the township, and whether they accept that number or if we find any differences in the calculations of the developable land, we would make those adjustments in that resolution. And once the township committee adopts that resolution, January 31st or on or before, this planning board has a responsibility to prepare what's called a housing element and fair share plan that puts in place the mechanisms, the zoning of how the township is going to address this number. And that's going to be the focal point of our work. We've already started working on the plan, and we're probably about halfway through it. But what we have to focus on early come 2025 is the exact locations, the densities, and all the different design standards of how the township sees that we're going to put these zoning mechanisms for this new fourth round number. Now, I circulated an updated timeline. It went to Jen. I know Jen's out, so all the board members are going to get it. You may not get it tonight, but you're going to get an updated memo from me, and with all of the dates. And what I did was I took the potential planning board meeting dates for 2025, and I mapped out a strategy of making sure that the township completes this plan and adopts it in compliance with the law. And where I land is this housing element and fair share plan has to be adopted prior to Monday, June 30th. We have a planning board meeting on Monday, June 9th. And that's the meeting that we are tentatively penciled in, that we would have a public hearing and adoption of this updated housing element and fair share plan. It would be made available to the public in advance of the planning board meeting. We would be there to answer any questions. It would have all the maps and calculations and so forth built into that plan. So this next step really kicks off with the January 31st resolution adopted by Township Committee, and this planning board adopting a new housing element and fair share plan tentatively scheduled or penciled in for the June 9th meeting. And if there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. All of the board members and the public, there's a separate memo that I've already released to the board members. I've updated it today with a timeline so we could follow the dates. It's on pages 14 and 15 of the memo. It goes into great detail of each step of the process. So I just ask you to take a look at it when you have an opportunity.
Great. You'll quiz us at the next meeting of the memo. So which is
Absolutely. There'll be a quiz on the memo.
Great. So I will make sure that Jen circulates that to the board so the board's aware of it and the plan and the dates. And the subcommittee will continue to meet with Mr. Mistretta, and we'll probably do an update before the board, either maybe in our December meeting, but if not, definitely in our January after our reorg meeting of what's going
Absolutely.
on. It'll be a regular update before the board going forward. So let me ask the board if they have any questions. I'll start with Mr. Wishna.
No questions on the timeline.
Mr. Canigallo? No? Julie? Tamayo?
No.
Committeeman Kaiser?
No word. Thank you for everything, guys.
Nope. We're hoping to get a package delivered right to the committee so you guys can review it as well. Vice Chair Ketzel?
No questions.
All right. Well, seeing none, thank you, Mr. Mistretta, for the great updates that you gave us on this, as well as on the ordinance that we had before us. The last thing on the agenda that we have before opening up to the public to see if any public has any questions is we have a site plan waiver from our board engineer. 505 Morris Avenue Associates LLC, 505 Morris Avenue, Block 606, Lot 11, a waiver of site plan for ADA and EV parking. It's just as very simple as it is. They're adding some EV parking and ADA parking. Mr. Disco felt that you bring it before the board. Typically, this is something that he can potentially waive, but since our meeting is so close in time, we'll bring it before the board, make sure the board has no concern. So, Mr. Disco, I think this is 2 minutes, no more, but go ahead.
Yep, they're adding 2 EV parking spaces to a parking lot at the office building at 505 Morris, which currently doesn't have EV parking. The EV parking is exempt from zoning. It trumps the local ordinance in terms of oversight on it, so they can add the EV parking. Been encouraged by the by the government of New Jersey, and hence it's straightforward. They're also at the same time increasing the ADA parking from 1 space to 4, which will make it compliant. Again, that's a federal law, not a local issue. We could have done it administratively, but again, it seems prudent to at least allow you to know about it. This office building is almost opposite the TD Bank. I think the Javerbaum Wergaft law firm is there, Steve Hale's firm. In fact, I think Steve was going to participate as an audience member, but I don't see him here. So that's the location up by the 7-Eleven. That's the office building. 2 additional EV, 3 additional ADA. They have ample parking. The proposed parking exceeds the requirement for the site. So there's really no issues here.
So the only question, Mr. Disco, before I open up to the board would be you, and I was educated by Committeeman Kaiser's question with when the temple came before us. Is this going to be on a map, and is this going to increase any problems of parking or anything, stopping in to get a charge, go to the 7-Eleven to get a cup of coffee and come back, type of a thing?
I don't know whether it'll be on the public grid or the private grid per se. It doesn't say that on the plans. I would think that regardless of which one it is, it's not going to present a problem for the site because they have 11 spaces more than they need, and they currently don't have any EV. So if there's somebody who chooses to EV there, so be it.
Yep.
I don't know
Okay.
the answer to that.
Okay, but the parking's big enough that it won't be an issue with that from the standpoint of
Won't be
circulation.
an issue.
Perfect. Okay, let me open up to the board. Mr. Committeeman Kaiser, I stole your question, but go ahead.
No questions. Good policy.
Okay,
But thank you.
Brian Canigallo,
No questions. Thank you.
Mr. Wishna,
None.
Julie Tomeo,
None.
Sharon,
No questions.
and Matt, you're comfortable with us proceeding this way as a waiver, given the federal and state guidelines?
Yeah, and especially as presented by Mr. Disco, I don't see any issue with it.
Okay, perfect. Well, seeing none, can I have a motion, which we can do by voice vote, because it's not technically Mike's making the official action. Can I have a motion to approve the waiver as outlined by Mr. Disco?
So
Motion.
moved.
There you go.
So I heard Canigallo, let's say he went first, who seconded?
Second.
Sharon, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, seeing no one opposed, it passes. So, Mr. Disco, you can let the applicant know that they're free to install it. If I would have known it was Steve Hale, maybe we would have denied it just because, just for him. But it's all okay. Okay, so seeing nothing else on the agenda, we just open up to the public, see if there's any members of the public that wish to speak on this application, and any members of the public who wish to speak on this on any members of that's before any matters that before us or anything to do. Seeing none, I'll close this matter. The public remand it back to the board. Any board members have anything before we adjourn? Seeing none, could I have a motion to adjourn this meeting? For the record, our next meeting is December 9th at 6:30 p.m. in Town Hall.
Motion to
Motion.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Aye.
Have a
Thank
nice
you. We're
night,
adjourned.
guys.
Thanks everyone for joining. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.